with standards of use for the existing areas, and keeping up with a community stewardship program to encourage people to pick up after their pets, and brainstorming ideas with the community. There are lots of passionate people out there, and we're working with them, and we'd like to continue their involvement. We work with the social media. That's how we started. We're finding that's a very good connection tool, but we're out in the community as well, and with the public events that have been occurring as well.
Mm-hmm. Just to also let you know, we've been really advocating and promoting the cleanup after your pets. So during our events, we had our card inside with a couple dog treats, and then to have the bags to kind of remind people how important it is, because we do recognize that that is one of the #1 concerns from the citizens. And, you know, we recognize that it's an issue. It's not anything that's unusual. On the back of Sandra's shirt, it says the poop stops here. On the back of my shirt, it says, you know, don't be a pest, clean up after your mess. We realize this issue's getting bigger. It's not just the feces, it's the Tim Hortons cups, it's the cigarette butts, it's bigger. So we do know that, and we want to just promote a clean community. That's all we're looking for, and to share the green spaces. We want the spaces not to be specifically that, you know, with only for runners or walkers or parents or whatever. It is for everybody. So if we could have different zones that kind of complement everybody's needs, we have enough space. We've expanded the city. We have a great trail system, and we have the availability to do it.
We record all of our meetings. This is our Bible in the blue binder here. And we've had, maybe close to 10 meetings so far, about every 2 weeks, with lots of focus on our presentation and our awareness right now with the off-leash areas. This here is our talking bone. Our members are quite passionate, and we want to make sure all viewpoints are respected during our meetings. So anyone who gets to touch this gets to have their say, and then it's moved around through our group. So it's something fun, and allows everyone to have a viewpoint and perspective.
To have a voice and be heard.
Could you leave that behind for council?
We were more than likely to. We will do that if that's what will get us a park.
Okay. So, ladies, thanks for your presentation. I see some council members may have some questions, and so we want to make sure we leave some time for that. So if you're prepared or
we're
ready
prepared.
for questions, Councillor Gustafson.
Thanks, Mayor. Given my turn with the bone, so thank you guys for taking this initiative and something you truly believe in. Do you have any idea what the dog population of Grand Prairie might be?
We don't, but I know bylaw definitely has a better
I
idea.
did some formula figuring, and we're looking at maybe 15 to 20,000 dogs. But yeah, 15 to 20,000 dogs.
Thank you.
I see the former Enforcement Services Manager nodding his head saying, yeah, that's probably pretty close. Yeah. Okay. Councillor Rice.
I actually have 3 question statements. I was surprised that your society is called the Secret Off-Leash Society as opposed to the Sincere Off-Leash Society, which would have still given you the SOS, but would be much more indicative of what your group is. So I just make that statement. So
Can I respond to that comment?
Sure.
Okay. So the reason why it started off as secret, and we've actually talked about this, if we do become a proper society, maybe change the name, but many of us in the community there's only one place for us to go, and that is the current dog park. That is the only legal place that we're allowed to go. So legally, there's many of us that are being secret and going out in places. We know that we're right open and unaware that we might get bylaw on us and get fined for it. So that's where the secret part came. But we
Okay.
don't want to be secret anymore.
interesting. My second is a question. In your public education, are you encouraging your members to make sure that they get dog tags?
Actually, we have brought up that in some of our notes and about the dog tags, and we've had discussions about, you know, would it be worthwhile having a little bit more fees towards that, and we have talked about having actual licensing drives and chipping drives, so that the animals could be chipped in these future events.
So we want to be responsible pet owners, and that certainly is part of responsibility.
Yeah.
So doing a licensing drive is been spoken up and brought up during our meeting.
And we recognize that we want to work with bylaw enforcement, because that is, you know, we can pay for the tags, we can promote the tags, but the enforcement part is something that's still in progress.
Okay, and my third one is, excuse my ignorance, but explain the efficient and safe gate system.
Oh, that's an easy one. Okay. So what we're having is that we have, if you have only one gate in, that is a real easy way for the dogs to escape. You end up having a lot of animals that are hoarding or hounding at that gate area when there's all the entrance. New dog, new scent, and everything. So our presentation when we were at the Home and Lifestyle Show and online was to have a double gating system. So you'd kind of have like a little mini pen before you get into the big general area. The other idea we have is if there's 1/3 little dog, 2/3 big dog, or communal, sorry, there could also be another gate in the middle. So if something's happening and you need a way out either direction, you have another route to get out. So it's more safe and efficient.
And as well, you could separate your entrance separate from your exit. Those are your two vulnerable areas of the off-leash dog park, and those are the areas where your dogs, especially coming in, tend to congregate.
Yep.
And you want to eliminate that excitement area, and by having an efficient gate system, and there's lots of possibilities.
And I have just one more.
Okay.
You be quiet. Down.
Who's the alpha in this situation?
Counselor Rice, I think that's my line.
Cleanup.
Yes.
It's when you're presenting stuff to the city, are you going, I think our staff is working on a report, are they not, based on the open houses?
Yes.
Did you address ways that it could cost manageably be kept clean?
Well, we appreciate what I believe is the Rotary that had the kids in there for the spring scrub. And then we've also discussed beyond having our initial scrub where we were working on petitions we're trying to promote, you know what, you sometimes miss your dog's stuff, so maybe you can just pick up an extra one while you're out there. Like, let's be a community and be responsible. It's beyond just, like I said, the feces. There's, sometimes it's the chewed up toys that haven't been disposed of. And so we are working on, making ourselves a bit more public by having more scrubs so that people can come out and support. We had a wonderful lady that was present. She was there, she saw what we were doing, she went and took her dog home, she came back and she contributed her half an hour to us. So it's about building a community.
And illustrating proper care. So we are having our yellow shirts and we're going out into the park, off-leash park area, and picking up on a regular basis and walking out with our own dogs to illustrate what we're all about.
And maybe I'll make a note about the yellow shirts. That was actually based on the Yellow Ribbon campaign for animals, that if you have an animal that there is a warning, that there's a reason that that dog should not be approached either by children, other dogs, other people, any other reason, put a yellow ribbon on your dog's collar as a warning. Maybe that dog's injured and you don't want your pet being injured. So it's actually an international campaign, so that's why we have the yellow shirts.
People wouldn't take that kind of yellow tag dog, though, to the off-leash dog area, would they?
Or it could be on the trails.
It's anywhere out in the community.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
Well, okay, thank you.
Thanks. I see a number of others in the queue. Counselor Crokin.
Thanks, Mary Gifford. Thanks, Michelle and Sandra.
Hi, Joanne.
I am a dog lover. I've had dogs all my life. My daughters both have 2, and my next door neighbor has 4, which I enjoy from 5 in the morning until 11 at night.
Exactly.
They're
Yep.
talking to
Yep.
each other. My question would be, do you, as you're the society or just as dog owners, do you help police? I know you alluded on it a little bit there about licensing, but I back onto Dave Bar Arena there, that area, and I do see a number of occasions running loose, the secret part of it.
We do not have authority. We would like to see a monitoring system occurring and people self-police themselves and just becoming more aware of what's happening in the community. But right now, we're just awareness right now.
We have talked a lot about owner's etiquette, and we've had brought up those issues regarding dog park etiquette and, YouTube videos and other things that other communities have brought up, because we know that it is an issue. It is something that has caught some really heated discussions that have happened on our Facebook group regarding quite a few different topics. And so right now, every idea is a good idea. So we're letting free speech happen just as long as there's no,
Respectful.
it's respectful.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thanks, and I know by the open houses, some people have been saying, well, you're not gonna have dogs running up and down the trails when people are on their bikes or wheelchairs, and I said, no, that wasn't the intent.
No,
never
it's
know.
about sharing the space, having the spaces
That's
that
right.
are needed for, you can have your quadrant, we'll have our quadrant, and if we come into each other's, we just have to put your dog on a leash if you come into that quadrant where, it is a leashed area, and if you come into an area zone that's off leash, then you be prepared that that's what's going on.
We feel by having designated distinctions in the community, it would actually lessen the conflict that's occurring right now.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
See Councillor Radburn?
Thank you, Mayor Given. Actually, gals, you spoke to the point I was going to make, or the question I was going to make. I'm assuming the off-leash zone is unfenced.
Yes.
So you did a bit, but is there anything else you can share in terms of the perspective of having unfenced off-leash areas? Is it, because there, as you know, there are people who are concerned about safety. And so
absolutely.
just from your perspective,
Absolutely.
tell me why you're advocating for.
We would like different options for the community
Okay.
and neighborhood areas. So the people that are using those areas don't necessarily have to drive and have convenience. Now, when they're going into those areas, hopefully they've learned ahead of time by working with their dog in a fenced area or perhaps their backyard that they have good recall. Certainly there's some people, puppies and such, who are learning this behavior, might not be suitable for an off-leash area. So it's something that will increase and the owners will learn about their dogs during this time.
I also want to add that I am an off-leash zone more than I am at the dog park, and currently I am using areas that are probably more at risk for my safety and my dog's safety. I'm going out into county areas where there's cougars, bears, and coyotes. So I'm if there was something that was closer to town where it was like I said, I'm already using the areas that are in town that are proposed. So it's about safety too for us, and the animals.
Thank you.
Councillor McLean?
Thank you, Mayor Given. I just got a couple of questions, and I went to one of the open houses, but some of the good things I say in animal use bylaw that's coming up is don't leave your pet unattended.
Yes.
I mean, it's no one's fault, but a few years ago, a little girl got seriously hurt by a pet left unattended. And so I know that the fenced area is insufficient. That's not a hard sell for me. But, everybody says they pick up their afterwards, and it's not, and everybody's walking. And myself, I went to the open house, I've seen all the kinds of different designs, so I will be glad to hear them back. I have a cat, so I don't have a dog. So anyways, I look forward to hearing more, and I do believe you do need a fenced area. And I'm looking for some of the changes, like you can't leave your pet just run around in the back of a box, so if you hit the brakes at 50, the dog dies. And don't leave your pet unattended. So you're bringing more to the forefront than I think just a fenced area or
Oh,
not.
for sure. We actually just had this parking lot discussion about the different bylaws that are being proposed to be changed too. And I mean, people also have to be smart, and that is part of the dilemma that we're coming up against. It's not always what is the pet doing wrong or the dog that's doing wrong that's either tied up or in the back of the truck or whatever. It's, sometimes people that are approaching animals when, they don't know those animals. So humans have to be just as smart as the owners are being responsible for their dogs.
And this bylaw is wonderful because it will work with the owner, and those responsible will be fine in the community. Those who are having some issues in different areas, those are the ones the bylaw will be focusing on.
We're really looking forward to working with bylaw.
Yes,
We're very excited about that.
Thanks, guys.
Councillor Wong?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Given. First of all, ladies, great job getting organized.
Thank you.
I know that even council has been trying to push for another dog park in the city for quite some time. And there is that NIMBY factor. The community gets together, a neighborhood gets together and doesn't want it in their backyard, right? NIMBY, not in my backyard. But it's really important for community groups to get together and let people know that this is needed, and there is a widespread support for it. So great job there. Two issues that I see. By having more of these dog parks, first of all, I think it's one way to address the secret off-leash society issue, because there are a lot of dogs that get walked off-leash, even though we do have a city bylaw that tells people they have to walk their dog on leash. And I know that it's a little little bit of a pet peeve among the community, especially for those dog owners who don't at least get control of their dog when people are passing by. That's the very least I think a responsible pet owner should do. But the main issue I wanted to talk about was ongoing support financially. Are you looking, or have you considered doing ongoing fundraising and things like that to help pay for the costs of these things? You know, fences, maintenance,
Yes.
electricity for lighting, that all costs money.
We're well aware of the concerns regarding the fencing and the water. We were told that it was gonna be at least $20,000 for fencing, $14,000 for the water, in one of the proposed areas. We, as a potential society, I guess we should be clear, you know, whether we decide to go as a nonprofit group, we have been well aware that there is gonna be some fundraising initiatives that are gonna happen. We have some great ideas. We'd like to, if this gets put forth to have a park, we'd like to do some fundraising for an agility playground for the dogs. We'd like to have a memorial fence for the animals that have gone in the past and people want to recognize it. We would like to have a pathway that has, you know, dog prints of your animals. And those could all be fundraising efforts towards making that a more beautiful park, right? A park area. We also recognize that there are going to be other things. There has been lots of discussion about user pay systems. The reality is right now we have one space in all of the green spaces. So we would have no problems working with the city. That doesn't necessarily mean that we would be the society that would be paying for the fencing and the water and all that. We're just trying to create a place that will work for everyone and maybe lessen that congestion, especially on the south side. We'd even like to address some of the issues that are happening on the south side. Specifically, it doesn't have water at this point. Do you have anything else to say about that?
Only that right now, I don't think SOS is strong enough to go for nonprofit status. We're working and growing in the community, but right now we want to be sure we have support with our meetings and accountability for us as a committee if we go to the board route. We're not there yet.
We have lots of great fundraising ideas.
We sure do, yes.
We've been holding back. Yeah, we've been just trying to stay very focused on the fact that, you know, we need to secure the space, have the, you know, maybe as far as, you know, the ribbon cutting, and that, you know, then that's where our role will come in. Like I said, there has been lots of discussions about user pay, and whether that is right or wrong, it's definitely up for discussion for the future. It's just not something that can be completely on our plate right now.
We thought it'd be best if we narrowed down our focus and and went for the off-leash priorities right now. And once we go further than that, we will start and focus on another project.
Yeah.
Okay. Ladies, I just want to say too, for council's benefit, I've been still receiving the emails from the
Thank you.
online petition. I certainly appreciate the fact that you did that and the adjustment that you did to forward them to me, and so I can let council know that and you probably know the number off the top of your head, but I want to say something like 200 or 250.
It's around 200.
Yeah,
at last count.
emails from the online petition with dog parks. So certainly appreciate the fact that you did that. I had one question. You've mentioned water a couple times. And I would ask this of staff when we get to developing them further. But what about parvo? One concern that I've heard around water is the risk of spreading infection amongst the animals, amongst the dogs. And so what about that risk? And has your society talked about it at all?
There has to be an awareness and a standards of use of the park, and puppies are the most vulnerable, and whether there's water or not, parvo is a very nasty disease, and the symptoms that go along with parvo makes and causes very infectious state wherever that dog may have been. So they don't even have to pass infected material. People can walk in an area and pass it and direct it around. The biggest thing is having your puppy vaccinated. And generally through the veterinary community, they require 2 standard vaccines before taking your puppy into these high-risk areas. And that will protect your puppy.
So is there
Can
sort
we-
of additional
Can we add
public
that,
education that
sorry,
needs to-
just about the shots or the vaccinations? That's actually not part of the present, when you go to get your tags for your dogs, that actually isn't even a question really too much to get your tags every year. So that was one of the things that we had thought, well, should this not be part of the new yearly, bring in your vaccination records and that all the precautions have been taken, even if you do have the tags, let alone, the other issues that go along with it.
Yeah.
So it's a consideration for the animal control bylaw when it comes back to
Yes,
council? Okay.
yes.
Okay, thanks very much. Well, I don't see anybody else in the queue with questions, and certainly appreciate the presentation tonight and the work that you've been doing for the last 6 months, I suppose.
yeah, 6 months.
The society's come a long ways, and so thank you very much for that, and thank you for the information. Obviously, council will receive the report from administration on the open houses, I would imagine over the coming weeks, and we'd encourage a representative of your organization to send us some comment when you're able to read what the staff report says.
Yeah, we look forward to the next community living meeting too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great, thanks very much. Okay, so our next group that let us know that they were coming was a report from Aquaterra with their 2013 annual report. Mr. Mans, come and join us up the table, and please be welcome. Hi, Baron.
Thanks very much. And I'm Baron Mans with Aquaterra, and with me is Jason Chembry, our CFO, for those of you who haven't met Jason. I'd like to just touch on some of the highlights of the annual report for those that weren't able to make our annual meeting, and also speak to some of the initiatives that we have currently underway that might affect the city. So last year was a very good year for Aquaterra. It was the first year actually since 2009 that we sold more water than the previous year. So we saw a bit of a rebound in our water sales, which helped us out. For the second year in a row, we were able to provide not only our minimum guaranteed dividend to shareholders, but also a discretionary dividend. So we gave back about $3.5 million in cash dividends to shareholders. Our board created a new vision for the company about a year or so ago, and has a couple of key components. One is to grow the company outside of our current customer base, so that we can do a couple of key things. One is to keep our rates that we charge to our customers at the median or less of comparable Alberta cities. Secondly, to double the shareholder dividend that you receive by the year 2020. So we want to increase value both to our customers and to our shareholders, as well as increase more capacity to be able to reinvest in some of the infrastructure needed to accommodate growth. Last year, we implemented the multifamily recycling, so it completed our program to provide curbside collection to all residents, and so that's been well received. As part of that, we closed the depot system that's been in the community for a long time, and now have the Eco Center as the remaining facility for dropping off any recyclables that can't be picked up at curb. We also awarded a contract to undertake what will in the end be about a $58 million upgrade to our wastewater treatment plant that will give us about 25 years of forecasted regional growth and demand, as well as meet more stringent environmental regulations that are coming up. And we are very pleased to have received a $10 million federal grant through the efforts of the city and our MP, Chris Workington, that assisted in helping fund that project. As part of that, we'll also be implementing a landfill gas to energy project that will take the methane from the landfill and use it to power and heat the adjacent treatment plants. So we're excited to get that underway, and that should be commissioned about this time next year. So there's various highlights in the annual report. I won't go through those. Note that on page 8 of the annual report, there's a little graph that compares our utility rates to those in other Alberta cities. And in 2012, we were at the median of those 9 communities served, and hope to continue to improve upon that standing that way. With respect to things that have happened since the end of last year, about a month or so ago, we received a new diversion license that we've been working on for about a decade that would, again, provide for about 25 years of forecasted regional growth and demand. So we now have a secure supply of water from the Wapiti River for that extended period of time. One of the reasons it took so long is that it was the first license in the province that was issued under a return flow compensation basis, where during lower flow periods we put back as much as we take out in the river under the new license at the same time. And so it avoids the need to build a lake for a reservoir somewhere, which we estimated would have otherwise cost over $35 million. With respect to the river as well, we continue to monitor the pace of erosion along the riverbank. And at some point, we'll need to armor the riverbank along our facilities there and also put in a new intake to continue to serve the growing region. With respect to water, we're working on plans to develop a second water feed into the city. Currently, we have a single transmission main that goes from our treatment plant south of the creek to north of the creek across the pipe bridge. And over the next couple of years, hope to develop an alternate feed that will go up Highway 40 and provide more increased reliability in that service. We're also working on the right-of-way to create a transmission line to the airport reservoir through the new hospital site, and that'll accommodate continued growth in the west end of the city from a water perspective. From a wastewater perspective, we're working on closing the gap in 116th Street sewer, where the gap exists between O'Brien in the south and Center West around 100th Avenue, and are working with the development community and appreciate the initial support the city has offered to help close that gap, which would facilitate continued growth in primarily commercial industrial development in the west side of the city that way. We'll be undertaking a formal customer survey this fall, and so we'll be looking at the degree of satisfaction that customers have with our current services and looking at potential changes in those services. I know some have expressed a desire to have a different form of garbage collection services, and that'll be one of the things that we'll gauge formally beginning in the fall. So that's a quick overview of how we did last year and some of the things we're working on currently, and would be pleased to speak to any questions that council might have.
Great. Thanks very much, Mr. Mance. Any questions for the delegation? Councillor Rice.
In terms of waste management, does your board periodically, or would your board periodically, now that we have the bins, explore and consider the concept of bi-weekly pickup?
Mr. Mance?
Yeah, I think that's one of the tweaks in our garbage collection service that we might look at. Interesting to note that Edmonton just went from having bi-weekly winter to now having weekly year-round garbage collection service. But certainly that'll be one of the things that we'll gauge is whether there's support for changes in those services.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Councillor Radburn.
Thank you, Mayor Gibbon. Baron, would you just speak to, is my understanding, I think I saw some communication that where you offered Aquaterra's support for our Southern Albertans, our partners, our friends. Can you just talk about that? Because I think it's a good news story.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, in response to the flooding that's occurred in southern Alberta, we've offered our services to the communities there that have been affected by the flooding with respect to our treatment operation support. I know after the Slave Lake fire, landfill was overwhelmed in terms of the material coming there, communication support, whatever might be needed there. We haven't to date received any request for those services, but appreciate that the recovery is going to be longer term, and those needs will continue to exist over a period of time.
Thank you.
Councillor Croghan.
Thanks, Mayor Gibbon. Baron, I think maybe I brought this up before. I've been at various trade shows where they show the green bin. It's a little smaller, would actually fit right inside that big gray ones in front of my house. Have we got any means of maybe looking at that for a different cost? I know there's many families that only have one bag that goes into that great, huge, big monster in front of my place. And I'm just thinking of senior citizens that have a lot less garbage or recyclables or whatever to pick up.
So, Councillor Croghan, I think Mr. Mans, you mentioned that as part of your survey, you're going to be asking residents about alternate forms of waste collection or methods.
Right, and so that would include, I think, a kind of a subscription service that you're referring to where there's different sizes of containers that are offered depending on how much waste you normally generate. So.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mayor Gibbon. We've heard a lot too, Mr. Mans, Jason, about compost. and how like St. Albert different areas are utilizing their compost, but you want the actual compost for the landfill for the gas. Is that correct?
Yes, well, we continue to promote compost to residents as a way of reducing the amount of waste that they put out curbside, but we'll collect as much yard waste as people want to put out, and that will go into the landfill, and it's the organics then that will generate the gas that we'll hope to make power from and heat with.
And then save money, because I'm hoping for the savings, because I know since I've been on council in 3 years, Aquaterra's come twice for a raise and hike for fees. So, you know, water is essential, and, you know, if some people want service for garbage collection or whatever it may be, there's a difference, and it's really took off the blue bags, but water is essential, you can't go without it, so just an afterthought, think about that. Twice in the last 3 years, we've had raises. So.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor McLean. I don't see anybody else in the queue, so I know Council had a chance to see the annual report ahead of time and the financial statements at our shareholders meeting, so thanks very much for the detailed presentation then and the overview today and the public overview. Certainly appreciate the efforts and looking forward to the landfill gas capture coming on, so all those organics are generating electricity and gas and heat. It'll be very unique, set up unique in the province of Alberta, I believe, and certainly appreciate the efforts that Aquaterra is doing on our community's behalf. So I'm going to move to the next delegation.
Can I ask a little question?
Councillor Rice, you would like to squeeze in a little question?
Just a little
Okay,
question,
Councillor Rice.
but the kind of important one.
Where's that bone?
I'll use it.
You return dividends to the shareholders each year that we then use to keep the tax increases that we would have to give down. So how much approximately have you returned in dividends since the formation of Aquaterra?
Well, we've returned about $67 million in shareholder benefits, and of that, the cash dividends amounted to about $20 million.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Rice. Yeah, so the point being that if Aquaterra wasn't doing that, city taxes, county taxes, and Sexsmith taxes would actually be higher, would need to be higher to provide the same level of service.
Yeah.
Thanks very much, Councillor Rice, and gentlemen, thank you very much for your presentation. Thanks for being. So our next group was the Grand Prairie Youth Council. They had a presentation on a student survey, and so we'd like to invite the representatives from the Grand Prairie Youth Council to come forward and join us at the presenters table. So, as you come forward, please introduce yourselves, each one of you, so that the people that are watching know who's speaking. Certainly, while this group's getting set up, I want to recognize everybody that's here, and thanks very much for sticking it out. This is probably one of our more exciting council meetings. If you come more often, hopefully we'll have more exciting council meetings, but we're happy to have anybody come and join us at any time. And I should say that this delegation portion is open to any group, even if they haven't let us know ahead of time that they'd be coming. We do make time for community members to come and speak to council at every regular city council meeting. So, ladies.
Okay, well, we are from the Grand Prairie Youth Council. I'm Natasha Woodman.
I'm Arusha Khan. I'm Shamze Khan.
And we would like to talk to you guys about pedestrian safeway on Highway 43, the bypass. We, as the Grand Prairie Youth Council, are concerned about the safety of students choosing to cross the Highway 43 bypass during school lunch hours and on breaks between classes to access neighboring businesses, the majority of which are located on the north side of the road.
A lot of kids just run across the bypass to get where they need to go. It takes much longer to go around, so they chance it and run. It's very dangerous. Kids have gotten hit by vehicles and more definitely will. You should really build something safer to get across. And this was from a student from Peace Wapiti Academy. On May 6, 2013, a 16-year-old girl crossing the bypass was struck by a car. The high school student was taken to a hospital and treated for non-life-threatening injuries. This is one of the several incidents occurring on the bypass over the last few months.
The Grand Prairie Youth Council has recently conducted a survey among high school students and has collected feedback from more than 530 respondents from students in grade 9 through grade 12 at Peace Wapiti and Grand Prairie Composite High School. The survey looked at the movement patterns of youth, where they frequent, and how they get there.
Results indicate that Of the students surveyed, more than 217 students leave their respective schools during lunch hour or on breaks between classes. Approximately 52% of the respondents indicated that they use foot, bicycle, skateboard, or scooter as their means of transportation to from these locations. Using survey results, 165 teens indicated that they cross the bypass daily to get to school and from school. Approximately 1 in 4 students admit that they don't utilize existing crosswalks along the bypass, mainly because they are located too far from the school. Approximately 1 in 3 students indicated that they would use a crosswalk to cross 116 Avenue if it was located in a more convenient location, such as closer to the school.
Our request as the Grand Prairie Youth Council is that the support of the council is to see that something is done to make the crossing of Highway 43 bypass safer for pedestrians in our city. In addition to the more than 530 youth surveyed, the Youth Council has spoken to the members of the RCMP and school officials from both of the schools mentioned earlier in this report. All the parties agree that it is only a matter of time until a fatality occurs.
Possible solutions may include installation of pedestrian crosswalk with an indication light for motorists that someone is intending to cross. It may be necessary to enforce a reduction in speed along a portion of the bypass. The current posted speed on 116 Avenue is 70 kilometers per hour. Development of a pedway over top of the bypass, allowing individuals the opportunity to cross over the highway with little or no disruption to traffic flow. Installation of a fence or barrier along the south side of the road to the bypass.
The Youth Council would like to request the council's support in coordinating a meeting with the local MLAs Everett McDonald and the Honorable Wayne Drysdale to discuss this matter further.
Thanks very much for the presentation, ladies. I see a few council members that have some questions for you. Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mary Given. Thanks, ladies. I wish when I was your age I had a youth council, and I'm glad there's one in the city of Grand Prairie. I'm known for pedways. I'd like to see a couple in the city. I believe it's the Eastlink Center in that area where you're building now homes across the Highway 40 going west, and you put 300 million, 400 million in an area, you should be able to put a couple million in a pedway. That's one area, but the area you're talking about, I think, could be 3 areas of level government, or three different areas. The county, because Peace Wapiti is a county school. The province, because the province owns the road, and the city. It's within the city boundaries. So I would love to see this discussion about the county, the province, the city, making safer for individuals. Because when I first moved here in '91, there was nothing on the other side of the road. There was a furniture store. And so now there's Subway or all kinds of stuff there now, Joey's Only, so there's all kinds of stuff run across. And from what I'm hearing, Peace Wapiti doesn't have a cafeteria.
No,
so you have to.
We get food from out of areas such as A&W, and our lunch is only 45 minutes.
Okay, so you're rushing to get something
Yeah.
across the street. Thank you, ladies.
No problem. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor McLean. And Councillor Rice.
I was basically, my question was to ask them if they had made this presentation to the county, as Peace Wapiti is a county school, and I would see some advantage in you making an appointment. And now that you're all practiced and everything, now that you're experienced, and I would think they could play a real role in the meeting with the MLAs as well.
Thanks, Councillor Rice. Councillor Wong.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Given. So I just pulled up a map of the bypass area. Do you think that a crosswalk or a set of lights on 105th Street would do the trick? That's the entrance to Royal Oaks with the co-op gas bar on the corner.
And I think that's there now, and that's part of the problem is the crosswalk is so far from the schools that most kids will just cut across the road rather than walk all the way down to cross.
Actually, there are no lights there now.
Oh, are there?
Yeah, that's the one that's directly north of the schools
right,
that I see.
okay.
So is that where you see most of the students crossing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Because, I guess the tough thing was always trying to really identify a spot, because we don't know where the kids are crossing.
So
We know where
right.
they're not going at the lights, but,
In the middle.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I don't see anybody else. Thanks, Councillor Wong. I don't see any further questions. Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mayor Given. And I like what Councillor Wong said, but I know there were some other aspects, we want left-hand turn lanes and that, and it's provincial jurisdiction, and they don't want backup of traffic, so to throw another set of lights in, who knows what they'll say on that, and, that's not, but there is an area of Center 2000, that's out of your way. It's not gonna be ready this year, but next year, a trail underneath the bridge and coming up along the church back there, so you can actually get from Royal Oak safely and go out underneath the road. For now, I think that'd be the quickest one, but did you guys know about that trail system by Center 2000 that'll go under that bridge?
No.
It's supposed to be set for next year, so I think that's gonna be a big help, but people are gonna take the quickest route, I think you're right.
Yeah, definitely.
Councillor Radburn.
Thank you, Mayor Given. Gal, thanks. I guess really I wanted to commend you for the initiative you've taken. You've looked at I guess an area of concern, and you've done some research. You've got people's feedback, and I really appreciate the report in terms of identifying some solutions, not one solution, but some possible solutions. And I think that you've identified something that I believe we should be able to help with in terms of advocacy with the provincial government too. So kudos on the work on this project and your ongoing support to make Grande Prairie a better community. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Radburn. I don't see anybody else in the queue with questions. So ladies, thanks very much for the presentation today, and thanks for all the work that you've done, both on youth council and specifically on this issue. We certainly appreciate the fact that you're providing an important view to our community and giving youth a voice, so we certainly appreciate your work. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so is there anybody else that wanted to speak to council tonight? Oh, it turns out that there is. So I have a feeling that we might hear from the football community. So if whoever wanted to come and speak on behalf of all the people that are assembled, please come down and introduce yourself, just so that we can make sure that we get it in the minutes and that the people watching know who you are. Welcome.
Thank you.
First, I would like to apologize for not letting you know we were coming. We actually didn't know until today as well. This is just a last-minute email of people that could come out to support us.
Well, and it's great to see so many people coming. And as I said, the people that let us know ahead of time get printed on the agenda and I guess get to go first. But we are welcome to have anybody come at any time to speak to the council.
Thank you. My name is Chris Lutella. I sit on the Pee Wee board as vice president, coach the Colts for Pee Wee, coach Raiders Bantam, and sit on the Booster Club board as the Raiders rep.
I'm Dean Tissington, Vice President, I guess, of the Booster Club.
I'm Lee Wrigley. I'm the team mom for the St. Joe Celtics, and I was a prior secretary of the Grande Prairie High School's Football Booster Club for 4 years, I guess it would be, and just a big football volunteer.
So I just wanted to read from our letter that we rewrote so we can keep on schedule and keep it as fast as we can so nobody rambles on or anything, which I'm prone to do. So I'll read the letter.
Yeah, and we don't do that at all.
No. We are the high school, Grande Prairie High School Football Booster Club, and have been a part of the Grande Prairie football community for over 20 years. We are a blanket group that helps support and develop football for all ages, with players starting as young as grade 2. And most of our coaches have been prior football players from the community or from surrounding communities, and now devote countless hours developing this sport for our youth. Our group consists of parents, grandparents, community business owners, workers, coaches, a men's league, a newly added women's league, and a ton of football fans. Our not-for-profit group is responsible for maintaining and operating the Legion Field tower, the canteen, the score clock and the PA system, the grandstand bleachers, sideline benches, and field lights, everything that's in there. All of these infrastructures are owned by the Booster Club and are maintained and insured by numerous hours of volunteer fundraising and supporters. We also pay for the water and power to these infrastructures. Not only does the Booster Club pay for all these items to remain in use at the Legion Field, we have also been providing 99% of all maintenance and repair to the field as well, out of the Booster Club's fundraising monies. Our volunteers paint the lines, run the canteen, not just for the football, but for other users that use that track and field facility as well. We clear the snow off with our own vehicles and our own equipment when we need to, all of our out of our personal expenses, or through funding by the Booster Club. In the past year, the Booster Club has spent approximately $10,000 on maintenance and upgrades to our playing fields. Typically, our fundraising monies are allotted to purchasing equipment and upgrades to our facility, However, the playing field is requiring more and more maintenance and repair just to keep it subpar for playing conditions. Our long-term goal has been to have at least one field turf facility built in Grand Prairie, but due to the cost of a field, it is long and an arduous process. Our group is pleased to hear that the recent announcement plans to implement a facility that will accommodate up to 3 artificial turf fields, but unfortunately, until that facility is constructed, our one and only football field that was previously used to host playoffs, provincial games, is no longer safe and does not meet provincial Alberta standards to even host such an event. Our club continues to maintain and repair the damaged field, whether from football or other user groups that have booked on that field. However, the field is so hard packed and uneven with numerous holes that are obviously extremely dangerous for ankles and that sort of thing, that almost all of our out-of-town leagues refuse to travel to Grand Prairie, only to risk their players' safety on the poor field conditions. It was just this past November that immediately following a playoff game against the Comp Warriors, a Spruce Grove football coach was quoted in the Edmonton Examiner saying it was the worst field I've ever seen for a football game. This coach expressed his concerns quite publicly, stating that they would not travel to play in Grand Prairie under these conditions again, and was concerned for his players' safety to the poor field conditions. Football playoff games help promote not only football in our community, it supports local business and tourism. Teams of 40-plus players and their coaches and parents and families all have to travel to the city while attending these games. In the past year, we have hosted semifinal and provincial quarterfinals at our facility for bantam and high school leagues. This means that people are eating at our restaurants, shopping at our stores, and staying in our hotels. We have media also attend these games from Edmonton and Calgary to help promote the events. In turn, by hosting these games in our community, our teams are able to reduce their operating budgets substantially. One exhibition or playoff game in Calgary or Edmonton for any of our teams is from $5,000 to $9,000 to attend for busing and accommodations. The other equally important key to our local football is the large number of players that are able to sign scholarships with post-secondary football programs. Just this year alone, there have been over 15 local players signed on with post-secondary programs, most of them with scholarships or tuition relief. And the first local player to make the under-18 Alberta Summer Games team was just this last year as well. These players will not get the exposure or opportunity to move on to the next level if we cannot provide a safe playing field to promote football in our community. Most recently, due to the unfortunate rainy weather, the city announced the closure of all fields to prevent further damage. Our football teams that had booked to use Legion Field made last-minute arrangements with our other surrounding communities to use their fields, as they did not have to contribute to any further damage to Legion Field. We did make those commitments immediately and in quite quick rate, and we did not miss any of our games, and we fully supported the decision to shut down those fields. They needed to be protected. Fortunately, Relay for Life was also granted permission to be there, and the exact same time it was shut down. They were given permission to put up large tents, trailers, and up to 1,500 participants. As the user group that pays to maintain the repair of the field and infrastructure and pays to have water and power to the tower and lights, feel that was a contradictory standard. If the field was at risk of damage due to us and is closed for our user groups, then it should have been closed for all user groups. Members of our group went to Legion Field following the Relay of Life event to take photos of the damage that was done with the heavy traffic, the equipment placed and moved around on the infield. During our assessment, there was numerous photos taken of the damage on the grass turf, as well as a very large spike that had to be dug out of the field, which was a tent anchor, which posed a huge safety risk if it was missed. City Council has informed our group that they will repair the damage that was done to the infield as a result of the Relay for Life event. And we are hoping the City Council will work with our group to come to an agreement on the field users agreement so that it is fair to all users groups, as well as arranges the timely repair to the field to ensure that our regular season practices can take place by August 23rd. In no way does our group feel that Relay for Life or other fundraising and sporting events in our community should be canceled or eliminated or banned from there. However, we do feel that there could be a more sustainable location to host the event that will not cause further damage to the playing field when it's required. And we are willing to work with the City Council to come up with a solution that is suitable for all involved. It's just one rule for all, I guess. We look forward to working with the City Council and creating a better facility for our community, and more importantly, our youth in Grand Prairie, and look forward to many more experiences and successes of our athletes. I don't know if they're all in attendance tonight, but there are a couple people that we're going to try to make it to show how we are enriching them. Brennan McNeil, St. John's High School Peace Bowl champion and under-18 Team Alberta team member, I was going to be here tonight. Alex Stewart and Oaks Provoski, graduated St. Joe's High School Peace Bowl champions, recently signed on with the Calgary Colts with scholarships. Tyson Wrigley, Parker Ludin, and Joel Halloran, graduated St. Joe's High School Peace Bowl champions, recently signed on with the Vancouver Island Raiders CJFL with tuition relief. Marcus Cooper, graduated Hakamp High School, signed one with the Okanagan Sun CJFL. The Bantam level, GP Raiders and Broncos have been the Pier 4 provincial champions for the last 5 years running, and pretty much the only champions of that bowl since it's created. 6 players to the Bantam Bowl for our zone this year for Alberta Games, and as well as many coaches that came from this area. And actually, the first round CFL pick this year was a Peace Region product as well. There's some photos in here, and I'd just actually like to take one more second to read a letter from West County Lightning Football Association, which is Wembley's Peace football program. Our club has been fortunate in the past to have been welcomed into the city of Grand Prairie to play football. Our home field is in Wembley, and we share the privilege of hosting home games with the Grand Prairie teams. We have an excellent working relationship with the Grand Prairie Football Leagues. In recent months, the state of Legion Field has become a concern. We have not played a single game on Legion Field this year. I have noted other users groups on the field when poor field conditions were cited as concern to Grand Prairie Pee Wee football. We were recently asked to host part of the Pee Wee semifinals due to fields being closed across the city due to extensive rain. While the elements are beyond the control of any of us, the fields need to be respected as a football field first and foremost before considering other users groups' requests. Football is a unique sport that is enjoyed by approximately 60 youths in our club. It focuses on fitness, the technique aspects of the game, and sportsmanship. At a time when so many youth are heading towards more negative pastimes, football provides a sense of community. It teaches our youth the value of hard work and leadership. As a club, we are proud to stand behind these young people who strive to become a little bit better every practice and every game. We ask that you consider the value of the game and the youth that participate, as well as the future needs of the sport to carry on in Grand Prairie, signed by their president, Jennifer Thatcher. We also have just welcomed Sexsmith into the Pee Wee League as well as the Bantam League. And Peace River has participated in both those levels for over 2 years now, traveling down to participate in our excellent programs. On a personal note, I did all my football in Calgary. I've only been a member of the community for about 6 years, football about 3. The program that's put on in Grand Prairie and Peace Region area is second to none. Fortunately, the facilities are a little bit. Coming from Calgary and Edmonton, they are lacking quite a bit. The biggest push right now, and the reason that we didn't have time to let you know we're coming, is really the football field conditions for August 23rd have to be better. Otherwise, we will continue not to be able to use Legion for what it was intended to be used for, and what should be as a beautiful structure in the city. Thank you.
And if I could just add, just to that, again, just I think the biggest impact for every single football league, whether it's Pee Wee and up, is that in the current state, we are legally not able to host any kind of playoff or provincial games. That means every amount of fundraising money, whether it's by the individual teams themselves or the funding that we receive through the Booster Club, is now being spent in Edmonton and Calgary. Not a dime will end up getting spent here because we then have to travel. Whether we're actually the host team or not, then we actually have to host out of town. And that's a shame. We want to show off Grand Prairie. There's a ton of community support in the football family that we have, and we want to show off Grand Prairie. We're proud of our boys that are moving on, and unfortunately now our hands are tied. We don't really have any place to go. We're kind of homeless.
Well, so just, you mentioned, and I do see council members in the queue, so you said August 23rd. What, if I can, 2 questions just to kind of set up the discussion. What's August 23rd, and why can't you host games specifically?
August 23rd is the first game scheduled for the Bantam League, and then high school starts shortly after that, and obviously the senior league's been displaced as well, the drillers, and I'm not 100% sure. They are still playing at that point, I believe, as well. But Bantam, that 23rd date is really the Bantam start season of Bantam.
And so, can you explain what are the areas where the field is deficient and that keep us from hosting?
The field conditions themselves, the field is quite hard packed. We've tried to grow grass there, and actually the Booster Club has paid several times for the seed and the fertilizer and the time and the sod. And nothing will take right now. It's too impacted. There is an irrigation system that is sunk in there that has failed several times and dug massive holes in it. So the structure's been tried to fill in so that it's level, but it's painfully not level. In the surrounding field, there was sand pits that were placed and are a little bit dangerous in that areas. It looks green from the road. A lot of that green is actually weed, and some of it tends to be clover weed, and it's extremely slick. It does not act like turf at all, and very dangerous to run on. The reason we can't host provincials really comes down to the change rooms and the washrooms. They've changed provincial expectations for that, and we do not meet that.
Okay.
So they would have to be renovated at this
So
time.
in addition to the field itself?
Into the field itself, yes.
One of the other issues that we've had in terms of guidelines through Football Alberta as well is the restrictions we've had with bringing horse shelters to house, because our playoff season, of course, is very late in the year. We've had water shut off, and if there's no water to the change rooms and the washrooms, then we can't run canteen or have games. If we can't have horse shelters to protect the kids from our Grand Prairie wind and the blowing snow, which we've had many times, we get Herman Nelsons in there and everything, but if they don't have the horse shelters, a Herman Nelson is useless. If we can't bring them in onto the field, then we can't host either to protect the kids.
Okay, so there's other council members in the queues, so I see Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I'm very proud of this council. There's a lot of stuff that this council has gone forward on, put new membrane on the track. I don't know, 150, 250,000. The Leisure Center, $4 million retrofit, be open next year. So, and then new tennis courts. Of course, it was just tennis courts. Then we realized later after the fact, the lawn John's been out for a year and a half, and we need this to have a proper track and field. But it's brought to us very late in the game. And I've been on council 3 years, and I didn't know because I'm a rugby player myself from the past. I didn't know your field was that bad. This is the first I've heard of it, and I've been on council almost 3 years. So I'd really like to find out what's going on and why it's so late to say that, and what the problems could be. The renovations might take a little longer for bathrooms, but the field where you get twisted ankles and everything.
Broken.
So it's almost $4.5 million this council's put in that area, and one was the lawn job was late in the game when they came with that, and now this. Okay, thank you for coming.
Councillor Rice.
It sounds like a huge, big job that, and I know council's gonna ask for a report. I mean, even if council were to jump right in tonight and say, yes, go for it, August 23rd isn't gonna happen. I'm assuming, like, whatever needs to be done. Bathrooms and change rooms aside. What would, it sounds like it all has to be dug up and redone.
No,
There are options, short-term options open to us. That top layer could be rototill. There is a substructure of irrigation in there, but it's been damaged. I believe it's repaired. I'm not even sure on that. Did it fail this winter?
I believe it's been repaired now.
Yeah. Essentially, if we could try to remove the weeds and replace with grass at some level, it would be a temporary fix, which we have done multiple times. The problem is that if it's not taken care of in the long term, it continually fails as an option.
So you're saying there's Band-Aids that could be done?
That have been done continuously over and over and over again, and that's the problem. That's what we want to avoid again. We got a very short window of time to be able to present it for the football season that we're worried about. But until the turf facilities become a reality, this is our playing field, and it's a gorgeous facility if we can make it so. But I think it was about 5 years ago we were even presenting options to try and turf Legion Field with us raising a good portion of that money, and it just didn't take off. I mean, it's a lot of money. So we've been continually trying to seed it, and like I said, if the wrong user goes on at the wrong time, any efforts we make are null and void at that point in time. But you can kill weeds. You can get grass to go in there in a month if we can do it and keep people off of it and fix it.
Thank you.
Okay. I don't see any further questions for the delegation. Just two comments, I guess. Really appreciated the focus on the economic impact of sport. That's why the City Council passed a sport tourism policy, because we know that it's important. We want to ensure that we invest in sport to increase the return on dollars into the community. So you're right on, and I was glad to hear you hit that. My ears perked up. But as a result of the sport tourism strategy, Council also is supporting, or there's a community group starting sport council, and so I hope that there's somebody from the football community that's aware of the development of the sport council. They're having their first meeting, their founding meeting at 7 o'clock this Wednesday at the Pomeroy Hotel, the old GPN, and so I hope that there'll be somebody from the football community there to help represent the football view as well.
Thank you.
So thanks very much for the presentation. I don't see any, oh, Councillor Radburn, sorry, excuse me. If I go on long enough, somebody will come up with a question. Councillor Radburn.
Where's that phone? No.
Yeah.
So I just want to thank you for coming tonight. I wasn't aware of the state of the field to the extent that you've articulated tonight, so I appreciated that. What you're saying is there is a short-term fix to get us to a turf synthetic surface in the future. That's what I'm hearing?
Yes, definitely. The reason we wanted to come was just to
Okay.
make sure that we were focused. We only have a month and a bit to make it a playable field for this year, and that was our goal. I mean, obviously, we will look forward to working with anybody to make it the end product that we want. But we see that the city's also making those efforts with the presentation they've been going forward is very positive. It's just that we do have football coming in a month and a half. And I mean, Pee Wee, we made accommodations, and it's lower level, same with Adams. We can play other places. It's a little difficult, but we made it happen. The higher levels, you do need a proper field to play in.
Good, and thank you. And also thanks, the other thing that was informative to me is the amount of work and the things that the Booster Club and other organizations manage for us and support the kids and the community in that regard. So appreciated hearing about that, and thank you for your work in that regard.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. So, we're still in the delegation portion of our agenda. We have this is exciting, you can all stick around for the rest of the meeting too, which would be great. Are there any other delegations that wanted to speak to council? As I said, this is an opportunity that we have at every city council meeting, and so if there's anybody else that wanted to present to council on any community-related matter, now would be the time for you to come forward. While we're waiting to see if there was anybody else that wanted to come forward, I'd say let those that attended know that towards the end of our agenda is when we actually deal with delegation business. So any motions or action that come out of the presentations tonight will actually happen a little bit later on in the agenda. You can either choose to stick around and watch, or you could check us out online, or you could sort of read the newspaper tomorrow to find out what it was, or we could get in touch with you. But we'd be happy to have you stay. I don't see anybody else coming forward like there are any other delegations to present to council. So I will close the delegation portion of our agenda. We had no public hearings tonight, and we had no items of unfinished business. So that takes us right to item 8.1, reports, and the request to file the short-term annexation area application. And Mr. Wright, you're going to introduce that item?
Yep, thank you and good evening, Mayor Given, members of City Council. My name's Stuart Wright, planner with the City of Grand Prairie. This is just a request for council to officially motion for administration to complete the annexation process and file the application and anything else associated with that. Before getting into the recommendation, to mention that it has been reviewed by City's legal counsel. That's why it's quite lengthy in terms of what we're requesting. But just to indicate that in the report, the background does confirm that the last round of open houses that the city conducted, there's sort of confirmation of the attendance at both sessions, and also confirmation for council's information that there wasn't anything new that was sort of presented to administration with regard to the annexation issues. So administration has concluded the public consultation process, and what you have in your report, and this is for council's information, and certainly there's the questions out there, just the tentative timelines and what happens in the process here on in if council does want to move forward. In respect of the actual report to be filed as the city's annexation application, there's actually two parts to it. First, what we have to do in accordance with Section 118 of the Municipal Government Act is actually provide a report to the County of Grand Prairie, just confirming the results of negotiations, mediation and the public consultation process that the city undertook. So as you will have seen in your report, that that document is ready to go if council is mindful to move forward with the intent to actually send that to the county tomorrow, and a request for a response by no later than July the 19th of this year. And the county will have different options. They can either sign to agree to the report, they can just refuse to sign it, or they can actually submit their report against what the city's indicated. But confirmation is that the actual report is just giving the overview of the whole process. We went through the issues that were discussed and where there was any movement on any issues. July 22nd is now the date that City Administration is proposing for the official filing of the complete annexation application. And thereafter, the Municipal Government Board does have to undertake its own public consultation process with the annexed landowners, or annexing landowners, I should say. And then the expectation is, through discussion with the Municipal Government Board and City's Legal Counsel, that there will be a preliminary Municipal Government Board hearing, tentatively that would be in September, basically to discuss what would be expected at the full hearing and discuss any documents, additional documents that may need to be exchanged if they're not included in the city's annexation application. And at this stage now, the expectation is that we're potentially looking at January 2014 as the earliest for the full public hearing to be held in Grand Prairie, and the city requesting annexation effective date of January the 1st, 2015. So administration is seeking a motion from council that would be included in the official application submission. First, for the completion of the application as required in accordance with the information contained in the City of Grand Prairie and County of Grand Prairie Intermunicipal Development Plan. And secondly, that Council directs administration to take all necessary steps to take the annexation application forward to the Municipal Government Board for public hearing and request for final order approval by the Lieutenant Governor in Council.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Wright. Any questions for administration? Stuart, I just had one. The preliminary meeting in September, is that intended to be a meeting between city, county administrations and municipal government board officials? Is that an administrative meeting? Is it a public meeting? Is it one that would involve elected officials? Which of the three is it?
Mayor, given that meeting would primarily involve the lawyers from both sides and key administrative staff if necessary. There has been discussion. The Municipal Government Board is looking to actually hold that meeting in Grand Prairie because the city's lawyer and the understanding that the county's lawyer are both based in Edmonton. There's an expectation they might ask just to actually have the hearing in Edmonton with the board direct to discuss. It's not to talk about the case or anything, just what needs to be filed and when it's going to be filed.
Sure. So there wouldn't be a concern about the elected officials being involved in the municipal election and derailing that or slowing that process down?
Certainly not, Mayor Given.
Okay. Thanks very much. Councillor Radmer.
Mayor Given, I'm prepared to make the motion if it's in order. I would move the City of Grand Prairie file its formal application for the annexation of the lands referred to as the short-term annexation area in the City of Grand Prairie and County of Grand Prairie, number 1, intermunicipal development plan. And in accordance with City Council's direction at its November 15th, 2010 regular council meeting. Do you want to do two separate or?
Sure, we'll do them each separately.
Okay.
So Councillor Radburn has the first motion. Any discussion or debate on that motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. That motion carries. Councillor Radburn.
And further, I would move the council direct administration to take all necessary steps to move the annexation application forward to the Municipal Government Board for public hearing and request for final order approval by the Lieutenant Governor and Council.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. So any discussion or debate on that motion? Of course, this is the conclusion of a long process. This council, 3 years of this council's work, and ultimately 3 years of the past council's work in negotiating the IDP on which the annexation is based. So certainly appreciate the work of all those involved administratively, council for both sides, and the landowners who've been part of the consultation process the entire way through. Discussion and debate. Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I just wanted to say thank you to the staff, Michael, Stewart, and everybody involved in working with this over the years. It's not just been 2 or 3 years, it's been quite a few years, and looking forward to the send-off. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor McLean. Any further discussion or debate? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. That handles all of our report business. Oh, sorry, excuse me, it does not. Item 8.2, Land Use Bylaw Amendment C1290. Mr. Wright.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Given. Bylaw C1290 is a request to repeal the Meadowview area structure plan, which was originally adopted by Council on November of the 18th, 2002. The intent is to replace the original area structure plan with a new document which will include an additional quarter section of land compared to the original plan area. So the recommendation is that Council gives Bylaw C 1290 first reading, established Tuesday, August 6, 2013 at 6:30 p.m. in Council Chambers as the date, time and location for a public hearing.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wright. Discussion, debate, questions, comments? Councillor Monroe?
Sorry, I would be prepared to make that motion if there was no discussion.
Sure, if you'd like to make that motion, and then we can do debate after as well.
Sure. Okay, I'll move that Council give first reading to Bylaw C 1290 to adopt the new Meadowview area structure plan.
Thanks very much, Councillor Monroe. Any discussion or debate on that motion? Sorry, thanks, Councillor Rice, not on first reading, of course, so I'll call for the vote. Thank you. That motion carries. Councillor Monroe.
Sure, I'll move that Council establish Tuesday, August 6, 2013 at 6:30 p.m. in Council Chambers as the date, time, and location for a public hearing of Bylaw C 1290.
Thanks very much, Councillor Monroe. Any discussion as to date, time, and location of that proposed public hearing? Seeing nothing, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries as well. I believe that completes all of our items of reports, and it would take us into committee business. And we'll start with item 9.1, the Community Growth Committee from June 11th, 2013. Councillor Gustafson, I believe that was your set of minutes.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I'll move the council receive the minutes of the Community Growth Committee meeting held June 11th, 2013.
Thanks very much, Councillor Gustafson. Any discussion or debate on that set of minutes? Any errors or omissions that we need to catch now? Seeing nothing, then I'll call for the vote. Thank you. That motion carries. Councillor Gustafson, was there anything that you wanted to highlight from that set of minutes?
Two orders of business we did that day was we approved a variance for a rear deck on facing somebody else's side property, and we were presented the comparative study of urban and rural development costs. The consultant came in and was able to tell us some differentials from us in the county.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Gustafson. That'll take us to 9.2, the Pursuit of Excellence Committee, and Councillor McLean, I believe you chaired that meeting.
Thank you, Mayor Given. Now move that council receive the minutes of the Pursuit of Excellence Committee meeting held June 11, 2013.
Thanks very much, Councillor McLean. Any discussion or debate on that set of minutes? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Councillor McLean, anything you want to highlight from that set of minutes?
Thank you, Mayor Given. There's a few articles here. There was some funding given out for athlete travel funding, three of them together for Irish Dance in the City Grand Prairie. Maria Maxwell, Ethan Wongmuth, Rachel Cox, and they each got $650 for travel funding for Irish Dance. One of the things that was brought to Pursuit of Excellence is there's not an instructor in the City of Grand Prairie. So hopefully they'll have an instructor so they can grow more. The next one as well, Grand Prairie Society of Irish Dance is holding a clinic hosting funding, and they were awarded $1,000 for that as well. And hopefully we'll get an instructor. And also another one for Ann Smith, I believe it's Nicole Smith, I could be wrong. Athlete development funding for $1,000 for under 18 Alberta NTC training camp in Edmonton in July. That's all I have to say.
Thanks very much, Councillor McLean. That will take us to the Community Living Committee. Councillor Monroe, did you have a question on that? Councillor Monroe.
Thanks, Megan. Councillor McLean, I just noticed in the minutes here that there's a verbal update was provided in regards to the Arctic Winter Games Fund. I just wanted to know, is there an issue or anything? Or
Councillor McLean?
No. Wrong one. Request to speak. No, there's no issue, Councillor Monroe. What happened was in February where they were skating in South Montrose there, they were skating, making ice sculptures and everything, the first festival of it. They were awarded, I do believe it was $5,500. It actually, at the end of the day, the Arctic Winter Funds, if there is a profit made, there's a hope that there's a profit made on a first-time, function, that the money will be brought back to the Arctic Winter Games. So I believe there was around, I don't want to get into dollars, $1,400 to $1,600 brought back to the Arctic Winter Games. So all the fund was used up. There's $12,000 a year. There's now $1,400 or $1,600 left in the kitty. So it was a success.
The event was able to return some unexpended funds
Yes.
back into for use for other groups. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that. And we'd go to the Community Living Committee from June 11th as well. Councillor Crokin, I believe that was your committee.
Thank you, Mayor Given. Yes, I move council receive the minutes of the Community Living Committee meeting held June the 11th, 2013.
Thanks very much, Councillor Crokin. Any discussion or debate on that set of minutes? Any errors or omissions? Anything we have to catch? Seeing nothing, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. That motion carries. Councillor Crokin.
Thanks, Mayor Given. I also move council award RFP 21-435-13 architectural, the leisure center renovations to the Workham Garrick Partnership in the amount of $415,200 excluding GST. And just a little information on that. That is the work for the leisure center renovations. This firm has done work for us at the Coca-Cola Center, Gymnix building. The public school board have used them extensively, so we're very happy to have them on board as our consultants. And they are having a startup meeting. I believe it's Wednesday, and they will be giving us some of our options. And the startup is supposed to be in August, or the opinions or options will be given to us by early fall.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Crokin. Any discussion or debate on the motion? Questions or comments? Seeing nothing, then I'll call for the vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
That motion carries. Councillor Crokin, was there anything else that you wanted to highlight from that set of minutes?
Yes, we also had Mick Phillips. He's our acting facilities manager, had advised us that Field were given the undertaking the Bear Creek Pool review. It was $11,760 assessment, and we should hear back within 2 weeks on that. So that was good news. We also had a presentation by the Wapiti Corridor Planning Society, and if you've seen their reports, they are online, and it's quite a study of a length of land that stretches almost from Penzance to Wembley, in the southern part and around the Wapiti River. So that was very interesting, and looking forward to them completing their survey and study.
Thanks very much, Councillor Crokin. So that'll take us to the Community Safety Committee from June 18th. Councillor Wong.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Given. I move that council receive the minutes of the Community Safety Committee meeting held June 18th, 2013.
Thanks very much, Councillor Wong. Any discussion or debate on that set of minutes? Seeing nothing, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Councillor Wong.
I move that council approves the request from the town of High Level for provision of emergency call, answer, and fire dispatch services by the Northwest Regional Communication Center, operated by the Grand Prairie Fire Department. Speaking briefly to this, Mayor Given, this is another town that's asked to join our 911 dispatch call center. This basically this means that our fire department will be handling the majority of northwestern Alberta. I think this is a really good news story. They've done such a good job at setting up their system that all the communities in the northwest of Alberta want to join our system. Staff tell us that there is still capacity to add another town. Of course, they do that at a cost basis, so that would give the city approximately $10,000 in revenue a year. And then they'll just monitor that service before they add someone new in. They do feel that there might be room to continue to grow their service, but they always give a little bit of lag time between bringing on a new client, and just to ensure that they can manage the services to the top level that they have been doing.
Okay. Thanks very much, Councillor Wong. Any discussion or debate on that motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. That motion carries. Councillor Wong.
I move the council award tender T25-552-13, Bear Creek Reservoir Slope Repair at 75th Avenue and 100th Street to Wapiti Grapple Suppliers in the amount of $1,595,079.20, excluding GST. This is an item that's in our capital plan for repair, and this was the tender that came in the lowest.
Thanks very much, Councillor Wong. Discussion and debate. Councillor Rice.
I'm not sure if this goes to Councillor Wong or to Mrs. Donnelly. Do we have something in the contract that says you must perform? Or are we cut into it soon enough that we can pick up the pieces?
I will defer that to Ms. Donnelly.
Ms. Donnelly, so what provisions does the city have in contracts like this to ensure performance by the contractor?
Because I mean, this company we know has in the past underperformed.
So we're on 9.4.2, correct?
Yeah?
Okay.
Or is this a different one?
So we're talking at this one is the contractor that's recommended for the tenders, Wapiti Gravel Suppliers.
Okay.
So maybe
Next one I was looking at,
so
okay.
So
I was just poised, ready to.
Where's that bow?
But you know what? The question though would stand no matter the contractor. So Ms. Donnelly, can you maybe speak a little bit? Does the city have in our contracts any means to require contractors to finish the job, or any penalties if they don't on time? Ms. Donnelly.
So we do have a typical tender that we put out and the contract that we use. I don't know the exact terminology that's in there, but yes, it would cover what occurs if they don't complete the work on time. And we do typically have penalties based on that. Typically our deadline is October kind of thing for having everything complete before the penalties kick in. I can get that specific information for you and sent if you'd like.
I just, we have had, problems in the past with a contractor and nothing seemed to happen. So how stringent are we? Not this contractor, by the way.
Right. We're stringent in how we apply that. It does get challenging because a lot of the projects we're involved in do involve multiple different, not only is the contractor that's doing the work, but frequently our projects will start involving other companies like ATCO Electric and Aquaterra and ATCO Gas. And so it does get a little complex sometimes in trying to provide for all parties to work together during a very short construction season that we have. So we do work as best we can together, and yes, sometimes there are problems, and there is a process in the contract to deal with that contractor should it be their fault.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Councillor Rice. So any further discussion or debate on 9.4.2, the Bear Creek Reservoir Slope Repair? Seeing no further discussion, then I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Councillor Wong.
I move that council award tender T36552-13 for the 2013 trail program to Canelson Rock Products Limited in the amount of $242,383.80, excluding GST, as the lowest qualified tender meeting city specifications, and that funding be allocated from the new sidewalk and pathway program, the pathway rehab program, and the Gateway Soccer Center Phase 4 budgets. And speaking to this, Mayor Gibbon, this will essentially allow the city to put up or deal with 3 locations: a new trail system around J.C. Mackey Park, the new fields that are set up there. It will also pay for the rehab of the trail system around Chandelier Park in Crystal Lake. And it will finally fill in a little gap of a pathway on 99th Street, just south of the tracks. We have our bus transit, or our transit transfer station there. A lot of people seem to be or those people who have to travel south have no path to walk on, and you can see a well worked in goat trail going from the tracks all the way down to the sidewalk, which is half a block down the road. So it's nice to see that filled in. Otherwise, the only other way to get across there and be on sidewalk is to cross the street once, go across the sidewalk and across the street again, which most people aren't doing.
Thanks very much, Councillor Wong. I see a few folks in the queue for discussion, debate, questions and comments. Councillor Munro.
Thanks, Mayor Gibbon, and this is maybe a little bit further to what Councillor Rice was getting at with her with the last motion. I've got a couple questions and concerns in regards to this contractor that has been chosen, and perhaps maybe Christine can help answer. Do you know to date what kind of penalties have been levied against this contractor for the incomplete road work of 124th Avenue?
Ms. Donnelly?
Nothing yet? Okay.
Nothing, she doesn't know where they haven't been levied.
Councillor Munro?
Sorry. Fair enough. I guess I need clarification on that. Have penalties been levied against them?
Ms. Donnelly?
Not yet. Generally, it's once the contract gets through, so there's a calculation. That has not occurred as of yet. I don't know what it will be, and the work hasn't been done to determine what that cost should be. But they did miss the deadline, which was last October.
So it's safe to assume that something will be, they will be held accountable for some funds in regards to that project?
Correct. And in addition, the city of Grand Prairie actually did do some snow removal and some other work on their behalf, and they know they're going to be invoiced for all of that as well.
Okay. And just one more question, Mayor Gibbon. With this, you mentioned in the last comments, or last couple of comments, that with the short summer season, et cetera, we're really under the gun to get things done. Would this contractor be required to work on Sundays, or?
Ms. Donnelly?
I don't believe that in our tenders that we set out when they will work Sundays or Saturdays. It's up to them as far as how they're going to get the work done and when they're going to do it. We do sometimes get into things if they want to work at nighttime and deal more of the safety aspect of it, but we don't restrict them from working on Sundays or holidays. If they wish, they're more than welcome when it's sunny out.
Yeah, and sorry, just an observation. I spent a couple drive-bys there yesterday. Nice, beautiful day yesterday. I didn't see any activity on that site at all. And with the limited amount of summertime that we do have, you'd think they'd be anxious to get it done. So that's all I had. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Munro. Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mayor Gibbon, and like Councillor Rice and Councillor Munro was saying, I'm a little bit worried, but the question I had was for Councillor Wong. There's about 500,000 years we put for trails funding. I do believe this council has allocated this $242,383. Is that an extra fund, or some of that's coming out of that fund as well? Maybe I direct that
Yeah, let's
Mrs.
direct that to the
Donnelly.
director.
Ms. Donnelly, so the source of funding for these upgrades, is it from the city's regular trails program, or was it from another funding source? I'm trying to remember back to the report. I thought it might have been brought together from a couple of sources, actually. Ms. Donnelly?
Thanks for it was brought together from a few different locations. We do try and find opportunities to put them together so we can get better pricing. So it was based on the new sidewalk and pathway program that we have, as well as in our rehab program, we try and combine some of that in as well, so that we again can get better prices. And then also there was some money under a Gateway Soccer Center Phase 4 budget. So there was 3 budgets that have been pulled together and put into a tender package so that we could get the best prices possible.
Okay, I understand where she's going with this, but I also, so there's still maybe possibly 500,000 going to pedways not pedways, I love pedways. to trails. We still have money going to more trails happening as well. That's where I'm trying to direct. There's still $500,000.
Is there other trail construction happening in the city this year? Ms. Donnelly?
That's a good question. I can find out for you. I'm not certain right now if we've allocated all the funds. I think there was, I think that you might be correct in that there might be some other trails. We were putting off making some of our decisions around trails because we've been trying to get permission to do some railway crossings. So I will find that information out as how much is left in the pot and get that, I can send you an email.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks very much, Ms. Donnelly. So if there wasn't any further discussion or questions or comments on this motion, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries with one opposed, and that'd take us to 9.4.4, 100th Avenue upgrades. Councillor Wong.
Yes, I move that council award tender T 45552-13 for the 100th Avenue upgrades from 84th Street to 90th Street intersection to Knelson Rock Products Limited in the amount of $1,720,791.13, excluding GST, as the lowest qualified tender, meeting city specifications, and allocate funds in the amount of $300,000 from the Alberta Municipal Infrastructure Grant to finance the additional cost of this project. Speaking to this really quickly, Mayor Given, this is the east side of the city along 100th Avenue, or Richmond Avenue as most people know it by. This also includes the intersection improvements at 96th Street. On the east side of the city, this will essentially help correct that jog in the road at the end from where the old city road met the county road. Counties build their road down the center, cities build them off to the side, and that's why there's a jog in the road. This will make it a nice straight piece of pavement all the way across, which will definitely help for safety in the winter.
Thanks very much, Councillor Wong. Discussion and debate. Councillor Rice.
Did we underestimate when we put this out for tender, and all the tenders came back above what we had budgeted, or are they coming back to us for more money, or how many tenders did we receive? The responses to our RFP.
Okay, I think there were two who responded to the request for tender, and I did ask the same question, and it turns out that prices are starting to go up. So cost of labor and materials.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Councillor McLean.
I'm just trying to get the direction of the pavement here. We're going east. What's that area of development that's there? What's it called?
Cobblestone.
Cobblestone. I just had a question. How far the east? I'm trying to realize what that is, 90. Like, because there's one area there, I'm wondering, I don't know if it's directed to Councillor Wong or to Community Safety, Mrs. Donnelly, is it keeps, every time they do the road, but is it going that far? That's where I'm kind of wonder.
Sure, Councillor McLean, I think we can probably get one of the administrative computers up on screen here. I think the projectors have just restarted.
Oh, perfect.
And so when they're warm, when we can get that section on screen. Ms. Donnelly, do you have that map up on your machine? Okay, so we'll just see if admin can
If
call
you like
that up.
landmarks, it's roughly where that Shoppers Drug Mart is, all the way down to where Green Blade is.
Good, because that's what I figured.
Yeah. So, Ms. Donnelly, do you want to explain the work that's in the two highlighted sections? Because there's sort of two separate parts that are happening there. Ms. Donnelly?
The work at the intersection of 100th Avenue and 96 is just to deal with some concrete improvements to, I believe it's to lengthen the left turn bay and do some other concrete work that was part of that 100th Avenue functional study that was adopted not long ago. The work further east, that road it needs to be reconstructed completely and realign the full 2 lanes and shifted over a little further north. So that's a complete rebuild of that section of road. This will be a challenging project, and just to give you the heads up, I wouldn't be surprised if the portion to the east does go over potentially into the next year, just because of the area that we're trying to work in. But we'll still end up with 2 lanes as we do have now, but the 2 lanes we have are not standing up at all.
Okay. Councillor McLean, that answers your question?
It does. I just want to throw it out. I wanted to make sure I was in the right direction, and I am. That area is very bad for the road. We know it sinks and makes a few speed bumps. Have they ever thought of there's going to be pilings, sit on pilings the road. It keeps sinking all the time. Every time the city does work there, this part of the road on the far east sinks, and always does. Has there ever been talk like that, Ms. Donnelly, of actually that area helping support the road?
Ms. Donnelly?
There would have been a geotechnical investigation as part of this design work, and then this road would have been built based on the kitchens they found. This was a road that was built a long time ago, and some of these old rural roads that we have, and there were other ones in this area, 92nd Street as being an example, were built on top of topsoil.
Okay.
So you're right, we have to find a way of bridging that material that will then hold up the road in the long term. So we're quite aware of that. The actual solution that they came up with, I'm not sure. Pilings is not necessarily a typical one used to bridge this type of material, but that would have been part of that design work and evaluation.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Councillor Crokin.
Thanks, Mayor Given. This is to administration, to Christine. I know this is a large company, and in light of the terrible things that have happened in southern Alberta, is it within our purview to ask them to bring more equipment here? If we've seen a little bit of track record that maybe some projects haven't got, maybe they just don't have the equipment here. I think I know the answer, but can we urge them to bring up more equipment to get these jobs done for us?
Ms. Donnelly?
I'm not aware that when we tender work and we put it out there and saying this is what we need, they basically commit to meet those requirements, and it's not part of our process where we're able to tell them how to do that, as far as bringing up more equipment or that level of detail. They've entered a contract with certain obligations, and that's what they have to meet. We are happy to work with them if there's options and solutions that would make it easier for them. Sometimes there's closing of roads for a period of time, or working at nighttime, or whatever, but those are options that we can discuss with them, but it's not something we can require of them.
Okay, it's just that, thank you, it's just that it's come up with a couple other councillors, and it's shown that 124th, it's in the second year now, so thank you very much.
Okay, Councillor Rice?
I think my question has been asked.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Rice. So if there's no further discussion or debate on this project, tender recommendation, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries with 2 opposed. Councillor Wong, was there anything else that you wanted to highlight from that set of minutes?
Yes, we had one delegation come in asking for some help with their neighbor who has a pigeon coop underneath their deck. We referred that matter to our animal control bylaw, which is currently in draft and seeking public opinion right now. The other thing we had was 132nd Avenue. We directed administration to proceed with the placement of medians at the intersections just immediately to the east and west of 132nd Avenue and 100th Street. Those are really dangerous service roads where people are crossing and getting into accidents. And the feedback that we've been getting, I think from the open houses and from the businesses in the area, that those service roads, they were okay with the shutting down of them. They believe they were unsafe. The medians will ultimately be designed with the proper stacking lanes for the traffic. And anything outside of that service road area is still being discussed between the businesses and administration and our consultants. Okay, there was also a couple of in-camera items that were discussed. This was a marathon meeting, and I thank the committee for putting in the extra time.
Okay. I see Councillor Rice in the queue. Councillor Rice?
The original delegation to your committee, no bylaws being prepared, but that's not a process that happens overnight. Was there any interim relief that was suggested to this person?
I think we tried, but I don't know if there was a lot of interim measures that could be done.
Okay.
But the animal control bylaw is coming back sometime in July, so it is going to be a fairly quick process.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Wong, and that would take us to 9.5, Corporate Services Committee, and Councillor Radburn. Councillor Radburn.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I would move council receive the minutes of the Corporate Service Committee meeting held June 18th, 2013.
Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. Did anyone note any errors or omissions in that set of minutes? Seeing nothing, then I'll call for the vote. Thank you. That motion carries. Councillor Radburn?
Thank you, Mayor Gibbon. I would move the council approve policy 313, expenditure controls. This policy with the two related procedures really are the next component of the fiscal sustainability model outline that was approved by council in 2011. So we've done a number of policies over the last couple of years, and we're nearing where I think there's one or two left to bring back to committee and into council. This policy outlines acceptable limits on variances between actual and budget, how often the budget and actual costs will be reviewed, how department budget surplus or deficits will be managed within the 3-year budget cycle, speaks to the link between expenditure controls and signing authority under the purchasing policy, speaks to the link between expenditure controls and the financial stabilization reserve, speaks to how transfers between capital projects will be approved, and it outlines some best practices for managers to follow when reviewing their department results, analyzing the actual results to budget, and preparing year-end forecasts. So I think, and this particular policy is a made for Grand Prairie. There was a very, in their research, there was a couple of policies that were very generic and just said you got to be checking your budget periodically or regularly. This is a made to Grand Prairie, and Don Kennan and team have brought back a more in-depth, comprehensive expenditure control policy than we've seen around. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. Any discussion or debate on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. That motion carries. Councillor Radburn, was there anything else you want to highlight?
Nothing further. Thank you, Mayor Gibbon.
Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. So that would take us out of our committee business onto correspondence, of which we had none, and into delegation business, though. We did have a little bit of that earlier on today. Our first delegation was the SOS, the Secret Off-Leash Society, and their presentation. Could I have a motion with regard to that, either to receive that for information or if there was any action coming out? Councillor O'Toole?
Yes, I'll make a motion that we receive this report that they presented to us as information.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor O'Toole. So motion to receive the SOS report for information. Discussion and debate. Councillor Rice?
I just want to make sure I understand the process. We receive this for information, but it's when the report comes back from the city that we'll actually be looking at referring an item to the fall budget.
Well, I think when the report comes back from administration, council have sort of its entire range of tools to choose to respond to that however they like, and I think that this information will inform council when we have that discussion. But yeah, there is an administrative report coming back to council very shortly on the issue of off-leash dog parks.
So it would be premature to refer this to budget because we don't have numbers or anything.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion or debate on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. That motion carries. I see some representatives from the society still in attendance. Thanks for sticking it out for the entire meeting, and thanks for the presentation today, and we'll look forward to the committee discussion when it comes forward. We also had the presentation from Aquaterra Utilities, the annual report and financials. Councillor Rice?
I move to receive the report from Aquaterra, their annual report for information.
Thanks very much, Councillor Rice. Any discussion or debate on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. That motion carries. The next was the Grand Prairie Youth Council with their concerns about crossings at the bypass, Highway 43. Councillor Rice.
I move that we facilitate a meeting with the Grand Prairie Youth Council with MLA Everett McDonald and the Honorable Wayne Drysdale, and that we give consideration to inviting the county to be part of that.
Okay. Is that to the mayor's office then?
Yes, to the mayor's office. I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay. Thanks very much, Councillor Rice. Any discussion or debate on the motion? One piece that I would have, and this could be certainly, I think, there's two different things that could move independently of each other. The group also presented a number of options, and I think they're sort of at a fairly high level about how the issue could be addressed, and so there may be something that we could refer to committee to get a little bit more of an administrative perspective on the options that the group put forward. I don't think that keeps us from doing the other one that needs to happen anyhow.
Yeah, I thought there'd be two motions.
Okay, good. So this motion dealing with the request for the city to help facilitate a meeting between the youth council and the MLAs, and we'll see if we can get the county involved as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Any further discussion or debate on Councillor Rice's motion? Councillor O'Toole?
Yes, would there be any consideration on bringing the two school representatives there too? The Composite and the Peace Wapiti?
No.
Councillor Rice?
Well, it wasn't my intent. I think this was an initiative of the youth council, and I think we need to be cognizant and let them take the lead on it, and that's what they requested.
Thank you very much for the clarification.
Councillor McLean?
Yes, and thank you, Councillor Rice, because I'm glad you put the county, because that area, I've asked a few questions all mentioning that, but the youth brought towards us that this is an issue that we have within the city, and this is where we come to learn. And I'm glad that it's going to be going the avenues that you put forward. Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion or debate on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. That motion carries, and so we had that second piece. If we wanted to, there were a number of possible solutions that we could refer to administration for a report at a committee meeting potentially. So I don't know if anybody wished to make that. Councillor Rice?
I move that we refer the options presented by the youth council to administration to prepare a report and to present it to the appropriate committee.
Thanks very much, Councillor Rice. So, yeah, I think that's appropriate. The youth have identified some potential options, and we'll give our administration an opportunity essentially to comment on those options that were presented, identifying maybe the potential challenges and possibilities of those. And then council could choose whether or not they're going to follow up from there with more detail in hand. Any further discussion? Any discussion or debate on that motion? Seeing nothing, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. And then we also had the presentation from the Football Booster Club. Councillor Wong.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Given. I move that we direct administration to work with the Football Booster Club delegation and other relevant parties to develop an action plan for repair of Legion Field and report back to the appropriate committee.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Wong. So direction to administration to work with the organization and report back to council so that we give direction on approving if there are any resources needed. Okay.
Absolutely. Yep.
Councillor. Committee. Yeah, Councillor Wong said committee, sure. Councillor Gustafson.
Thank you. I wonder if we could put a date on that.
Councillor Wong?
We only got 6 or 8 weeks to do this, so we need to act on this, right now.
What date would you like to see?
Well, I'd like to see it completed prior to the football season. So could I amend that just to add, be completed prior to the football season?
Sure. So for, maybe to say for repairs to be complete by, so I mean, essentially the report can come to us sort of whenever, but it always needs to keep in mind that there's that deadline of the football season start. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, Councillor Wong?
I'll take that as a friendly amendment.
Okay.
August 23rd.
Yeah.
For repairs to be completed by August 23rd.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so just a revision to the motion Councillor Wong made to put in August 23rd. Councillor Rice?
We just need to be cognizant that we will be missing some meetings because of July, so you got a really tight time frame.
Sure. I don't think there's, Councillor Wong, was the intent of the motion to have it come back to committee before anything happened? Or was it to direct administration to work with them to identify a plan and then come back and tell us?
Yeah, the intent of the motion is to work with the groups and then, yeah, if they can get it done, the report could come back after the fact.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay. Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Wong. Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I really like it. It's going to be a Band-Aid solution to get them ready this year, to whatever may help, but then we'll probably have an official report if it's turf or the CKC area, but definitely look forward to getting it ready for at least they can not break their ankles, hopefully, on that field, and then what we got to do in the future.
Thanks very much, Councillor McLean. Any further discussion or debate on the motion? Seeing nothing, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries as well. I believe that handled all of our delegation business. Of course, we had the award presentation as well, but I think that that was handled when the award was presented. And that handles all of our delegation business. We had no notices of motion tonight, and that would go to council member reports. I'm sorry, council members, I didn't get a chance before the meeting to ask if we had any reports from agencies, boards, and commissions, so we'll just do that around the circle. Councillor Radburn.
Thank you, Mayor Given. Just a quick report on our June 13th Grand Prairie Regional Tourism Association Board meeting. Four items to highlight. One is that we did receive a Travel Alberta update, and they're having some staffing issues in northern Alberta, so all of our proposals for funding, et cetera, are going south, and that's taking a little more time. So we're hoping they get that expedited as much as possible. Second is that we are planning a second planning session in July to continue the gap analysis, looking at what we do as an association, how we're doing with each individual element of our, I guess, our services, and how it's comparing to the vision of how we want the services to look like. And that'll really inform us and lead to a strategic plan. Thirdly, I just want to remind everyone here and those who are viewing that Canada Day at 4 o'clock, there will be a citizenship reaffirmation ceremony at Center 2000. And I would encourage anyone and everyone to participate in that. And fourth, our director is also bringing back the consultant who prepared the demand economic impact model for Grand Prairie. It's a software program that I had a couple years ago and haven't been able for different reasons to use it effectively. So the plan would be this person will come and do the update the program, the software program, and then retrain staff. And we're actually inviting city representatives and others in the community who may make use of that program so that we can have that look at the impact of economic impact of various, I guess, events in the city. Thank you, Mayor Gibbons.
Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. Councillor O'Toole.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. On June 19th, the Airport Commission met and we discussed a number of things that day. At this particular point in time, we're growing at an average of about 4%, which is more in line with the national average for passenger traffic. We're okay with that. In some years, we have reached and expanded over 10% growth. The Commission will be spending some time in the near future going over a new policy book as well as an employee handbook, and the Commission will be attending a refresher workshop later this fall. The RFP for an extension of the runway that we are looking at is going to be probably developed, and we'll be able to review it later this fall as well. And if I could, I'll do the Disabled Transport Society, which was on the 18th, if you don't mind. Our new buses are coming, and one has arrived as of on Friday, and we expect 2 more this coming Friday. So they'll be in operation by the end of this month, probably more realistically after paint and some other things, radios and stuff, they would be ready by about the 15th of July. We want to also welcome our newest board member, Betty Rottenstrach. She will be adding a new view to the board as she was a user of the services of DTS. After a long time, board member Daryl Watchorn is going through some tough times and will need to leave Grand Prairie on several occasions over the next year, and he felt that he wouldn't be doing his part, so he has resigned. And I just want to thank Daryl for his time over the years. The board will be going through some strategic planning discussions in the fall, and new board members will be experiencing some training on a number of subjects, such as as well into the late summer or fall, confirming dates at this time. We also upgraded our dispatch system to newer, smaller, cheaper system, which is completely hands-free Samsung product, and this will be a lot simpler for upgrades. And like I said, we're looking forward to getting those 3 new buses on the road here in the middle of next month. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Councillor Toole. Councillor Rice, did I see you had an update?
So I attended an Alberta Municipal Services Corporation board meeting. Alberta Municipal Services Corporation, of course, being the insurer of the vast majority of Alberta municipalities. Fortunately, with the exception of Calgary, it was fairly tense as we watched our friends in southern Alberta and the flooding, and of course we have yet to sort out the bills for that, but it will be horrendous as we see them putting those municipalities back together. Probably one of the most tragic was the brand new Energize Center in Canmore, brand new. It had the new library in it, swimming pool, walking track, just stunning building, and their town hall as well. So we have insurance people and councillors from AMSC in contact with those municipalities.
Thanks very much, Councillor Rice. Any other council member reports from our agencies, boards, and commissions? Seeing none, then maybe Councillor Rice, since we're where you ended off, we can start roundtable with you, and we'll go around.
I attended the MSC golf tournament, which was fortunately before the flood started, and I think that's about it.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Rice. Councillor Gustafson.
Thank you, Mayor Gibbon. Today I was gratefully energized by our youth council meeting at tonight for supper. It was great to meet those kids really making a difference around our community. I just want to remind everybody from the Downtown Association that the Street Performers Festival on July 19th, 21st is fast approaching, so book some time off and enjoy the weekend there. And I really want to just encourage people to be careful and take their time through construction zones. We really have a short construction season, and the less traffic annoyance for the contractors we have, the better and safer it'll be for everybody in the long run. Thank you, Mayor Gibbon.
Thanks, Councillor Gustafson. Councillor Wong.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Gibbon. It's been a while since I've been at the council table. Last report, well, I was at FCM in Vancouver, May 31st to June 3rd, and then I took 2 weeks off and missed the next council meeting. June 18th, though, I did bring greetings on behalf of Mayor and Council at the Aboriginal Head Start Program year-end celebration. This was held at Camp Tamarack, and I was amazed at the number of people that came out, even though the weather was fairly inclement. They had tents set up, and the kids are just amazing. I was very impressed by just the spirit of the celebration, but the little outfits that they dress the kids in, and they're just really gung-ho about celebrating their Aboriginal culture. On June 21st, I attended the Northern Alberta Mayor and Reeves Caucus in Edmonton. There were a couple presentations there. The first one was from, we had several presentations on immigration and temporary foreign workers program. Basically, they're telling us that by 2030, there's going to be a shortage of over 140,000 workers in Alberta. The only way to fulfill that need is by allowing the government to bring in, or allowing businesses to bring in foreign workers. There are challenges to bring in foreign workers, and we want to make sure that we get a good cross-section of them, so it's everything from unskilled labor to very skilled and professional people from all over the world. One really great moment we had there was the Edmonton Immigrant Services Association cited Grand Prairie as having a really great network of partnerships for getting immigrants settled into their city. So we got a little bit of praise there, and I wasn't too proud to take that. The other presentation we had was from the Capital Region Authority. They had a regional energy infrastructure subcommittee put forward a presentation on the importance of the Northern Gateway Pipeline project to the prosperity of Canada. It's really the only way that the oil from the oil sands and and other areas of Alberta can get to the rest of the world at market prices. At this point, the majority of our oil goes to one customer, which is the US, and we pay, or they pay a different price than what the world market pays. At some point at the beginning of the year, there was almost a $40 per barrel difference on the price of oil. Now it's closer to about $10. So the US are still getting a discount in our oil. If we open that market up to Asia, and even if we went the other way to if we started going east and started to sell our oil to Quebec and all the way over to the Maritimes, we could see at least a diversification of that market, and that just helps Canada as a whole. Finally, on June 25th, I chaired the Senate 2000 board meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Wong. Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mayor Given. On June 11th, participated, as I said, through Council Pursuit of Excellence meeting, just making announcement that it's 40,000 a year, and we're going to be down to around 8,000 or 9,000 left. And last year there was 8,000 wasn't used, so I believe this year, halfway through, there's probably not good. The 40,000 will be utilized this year, so that's a very positive going forward to help athletes and coaching development. June 12th, I also attended Mississippi Government Day with my daughters Kendra and Kara. It rained a little bit, but it went off really, really well. I think Councillor O'Toole and Councillor Rice, everybody sits on that committee, and staff, they've done a very good job. Of course, when I was chair, it really rained. But this day, it was rain, but it was still very, very nice, and all the staff really did a marvelous job. And thank you very much. It was a beautiful day, and we won an award this year for that, Award of Excellence. So, on June 13th, I attended my children's kindergarten graduation. And the reason why I'm bringing this up, Kendra and Kara, St. Gerard's, they had 85 kids. I thought, you know, it'd be 200-300 people. They had over 500 people. So the youth is growing, Grand Prairie. It is growing. So as well, on June 17th, I attended an open house at Derek Taylor School for the off-leash park. Brought Kendra and Kara because both of them love puppies. We don't have one yet. We got a cat. And so we had some issues on I talked about stuff that I was worried about, and just like what open houses are for. And they had 5 of them in the city at different locations. And so I was glad to be able to put my input as a citizen of the city of Grand Prairie. On June 19th, I was excited to be on behalf of the mayor and council to attend Aquaterra Safety Celebration. And I said to all the folks there, it was well over 100. And I want to thank Lucy as well for Environment Committee. She was there helping me out, and she'll be going on for further studying. So I might get in trouble for saying this, but she's leaving us for a few years. Hopefully she's coming back. Anyways, I thought it was burgers. They had steaks, so I really got a bonus there. And I was also there when the mayor presented a check for $500. Last year they had a commute challenge, and there was 4 corporations in the city. This year it was 15 or 16. And Aquaterra won that challenge of walking to work or leaving your vehicle, just getting out and helping the environment. So kudos to Aquaterra and to the great workers of Aquaterra. They do a great job and always in danger when they're changing valves in the road and everything. As well, on June 21st, I went to West Mountain View CN Tree Grove Celebration. I believe CN threw in $17,000, but actually this council, I remember walking there about 20 years ago. There was just a dirt trail. Now there's a proper paved trail, and it's beautiful behind Canadian Tire. And one thing I liked what they did, they actually named what some of the trees are. So you could say, well, what kinds is that? White spruce, what is that? And you actually know. And that was very, very, very beautiful. As well, on June 21st, I attended and Councillor Rabbit in the proclamation for Aboriginal Day celebrations at the Royal Bank. I believe Councillor Crokin was there as well, and that was very good. And after I was long gone and I passed there a couple times going to different events, they were still dancing. There were quite a few hours dancing. So then today for I'm getting June 24th, I think, getting the date mixed up. Before I came to council, I guess we have a mayor's race. Gladys Blackboard announced today at Center 2000. She's running for mayor. So I attended that. And then I was a little late, but I didn't have my card. I was locked out the door, and I had to wait to be let in for the youth council get-together with council. And I was very glad because youth council, you're bringing great ideas. And about the pedestrian walkways and everything, that we need to know that information. And pedways, I love to see a pedway or two come in the city. Thank you, Mayor Given.
Thanks very much, Councillor McLean. Councillor Radburn.
Thank you, Mayor Given. June 12th, Municipal Government Day activities. I was pleased to participate in the Minio Olympics and take some of the rest of the day's events. I wanted, well, obviously, the committee that helps organize, I appreciate their work, but I particularly appreciate the staff, the multitude of staff who volunteer to make that day such a success. So congratulations to the leadership and our staff. Grand Prairie Regional Tourism Association Board meeting on the 13th, 19th Airport Commission meeting, and I attended the Camp Little Buffalo Barbecue fundraiser. That was just very, very well attended. June 20th, I attended the Volunteer Services Bureau meet and greet with our new executive director. And then following that, I met with Ainsley Lamontagne, GPRTA executive director. I'm working with her to develop a performance evaluation appraisal model that we can present to their board. June 21st was a busy day. I had the CN Tree Grove celebration. I did do, as Kevin mentioned, the National Aboriginal Day proclamation on behalf of Mayor and Council. I went to Wembley to the Dinosaur Museum groundbreaking. Whipped back into town and brought greetings on behalf of the Mayor and Council for the Métis Elder Caring Shelter 10th anniversary. And then in the evening, I went to the final off-leash dog park animal control bylaw open house. 22nd, I went to the Dino Ball, and on the 23rd, I went to Aboriginal Muscogee Day celebrations. Just a quick note of appreciation to the hard work of Gary and David in particular with respect to our agreement signing with GPACOS. Mayor Given probably will mention that in his report. And today, Kevin and O'Toole and I attended the Poverty Reduction Community Planning session. The first part of a two-parter that unfortunately I won't be able to attend tomorrow, but a group of about 10 individuals working to develop some plan and strategies relative to poverty reduction. And along with most of council, I attended the Youth Council, City Council annual supper as well. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. Councillor O'Toole.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. On June 11th, I attended the Grand Prairie Cheerleaders wrap-up meeting, and plans are for another big event next year. Later that night, I attended the library board meeting, and we discussed a number of concerns and projects and programs that are going to be taking place over the summer. And so if you've got children at home and they say they're bored, take them to the library. Doesn't matter if you're a young infant, right up to adult. There's programs, even including seniors, internet for seniors, songwriting circles, reading as a second language, and sometime in August, actually it's August 16th, there's going to be a live Angry Birds game taking place on there. So if you're an Angry Birds type player, you may want to participate. On June 12th, I attended the Action Committee for Service Providers for Adults with Physical Disabilities. We just had an organizational meeting. I was asked to participate in this meeting because of my role with the Cheerleaders program. This was a great meeting with many good ideas for the future, and we actually have no name at this time, but we're working on that. When it comes to later that day, I attended the Municipal Government Day. I was a chair for this year, and the Munios, and I want to thank all the participants from the area around Grand Prairie, the different government from different areas in the region. And I want to just mention once again, like Lauren Radburn, Councillor said, this could not have participated or could not have been such a well-organized event if it wasn't for all of the departments and all of the staff, and it just turned out fantastic. There was just enough moisture in the air to keep us cool. When you got hard-working athletes like us councillors, we needed a little moisture in the air.
One way to put it.
Yeah, okay, well, we're good with that. Okay, I want to talk about the Municipal Government Good Neighbor Awards. Number one neighbor, well, maybe we'll do number three. Number three, Doug Witter and Susan Allison, Brent and Annie Rochon, and Rod and Debbie Robertson were the best neighborhood. Number 2 was Shelley and her husband Ken Gribich, the good couple, and Walter Salter, the good neighbor. This was judged by a number of entries, and I know the staff that were involved in judging this. It's a very difficult time because all the stories are very touching. When we had our youth art contest, grade 3 and under, number 3 was Manila Richards. Number 2 come in place was Lucas Thorne, and the first place was Larissa Okama Keels. So that was grade 3 and under. Grade 4 to 9, Alexandra Rhodey became third place. Kaylee Cuthbertson was in second place, and first place was Chantel Kirk. Grade 10 to 12, third place was Kylie Reed, second place was Megan Ebbett, and first place was Rachel Rhodey. And the overall winner from all the participants was a young lady named Jacqueline Kirk. I gotta get back to my spot here. I'm getting high tech here. Okay. I am. I'm actually getting high tech. On June 13th, we had the firefighter boot camp delivery of certificates to the schools and students. And I just got a picture here of the graduating class of 2013, the inaugural class. And we do have one lady in this class. She's from Peace Wapiti School. She was a grade 10 student, and she had such a great desire that they let her participate. It was kept to the grade 12 students. Carissa Rempel, she did a fantastic job. Lake Maine from the Peace Wapiti School as well. Kingsley Brigg from the Composite, we're actually going to be giving his award tomorrow. Nathan Breedmore from St. Joseph School, and Randy Elsler from the Composite High School. While I was there, we also attended Kathy Blaze retirement party as a dispatcher for the fire department. She has worked there 24 plus years, and it was great to see her eating her cake and the nice amount of people that showed up to see her. I attended later that night the Sunrise House fundraiser, and the guest entertainment was Tennille. It was the predecessor for the golf tournament the next day. On June 14th, once again, another delivery of certificates to the school and the students. On the 17th, I attended the Grand Prairie Composite High School reunion meeting for next year. Attendees will be literally coming from all around the world. Our event will be the homecoming weekend. It's not a grad reunion, it's considered a class reunion from grades years 79, 80, and 81, and if people do want to come from class of 78, they are completely welcome. On the 19th, I attended the Airport Commission, as I mentioned before, and the 18th, the Disabled Transport Society. On the 19th, I was joined by my lovely wife to attend Camp Little Buffalo fundraising event, and just a little heads up on what this is all about. This fundraiser is put on by the RCMP and Catholic Family Social Services. It's for school-age children between the ages of 11 and 13. The youths are referred by a community organizations such as Big Brothers or Big Sisters. It's to develop self-esteem, assertiveness, communication, decision-making, consequent realization, goal-setting, and problem-solving. It was supposed to be over by 2 o'clock, but they kept cooking burgers until 5. So that just shows you the community spirit that went behind. There was open for 3 extra hours. On June 20th, I attended the Chamber of Commerce Golf Tournament. And on the 21st, I did the CN Tree Grove celebration, as mentioned earlier. I want to thank Josie Burrows and the team for making Grand Prairie treed and well treed, and Michelle Gartner and her team for making sure we understand and look after our environment. I want to thank CN Rail for the grant that the city was able to get. On the 12 o'clock that lunchtime, I was at the Philip J. Curry Dinosaur Museum site for the initial sod turning. And we also seen the signing of the Métis agreement and the announcement of a display of a Métis story in the new museum. At 3 o'clock, I attended a fundraiser at the Wapiti Shooters Club for the PC party, and there was MLAs from literally all four corners of the province, as well as in the middle. And on the 22nd, I attended the jet boat races at the Wapiti River, and later that night I attended the Dino Ball, and guest speaker was Philip J. Curry himself. He basically gave a Reader's Digest version of his life and history of the development of the Royal Tyrrell Museum. And at this point, I just want to announce that nobody really knew how much of an impact that the Royal Tyrrell Museum was going to have on Drumheller. Well, they have a population of approximately 7,000 people, and they get over 600,000 people meet there on a regular yearly basis. Today, I attended a focus group that will be the umbrella committee that will house the one that Councillor Lauren Radburn had mentioned on poverty, the Committee to End Poverty. And once again, just before council, we met with the Youth Council, and we had our yearly joint meeting. So, thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Toole. Councillor Munro. Thanks.
Well, what else can you say? It hasn't been said.
Thanks, Mayor Given. On the 11th, I attended the Nighthawk AGM. Was also at the Municipal Government Day on the 12th. On the 13th, I went to the Chamber of Commerce early morning mixer at Haircraft downtown. Nice little shop that they have there. And then on the 19th, I was part of the Preliminary Assessment Review Board. It's that time of year where we're starting to get issues with assessments, or pardon me, concerns with assessment. And so on the 19th, I did a Preliminary Assessment Review Board, which is just by myself, where you try to establish the merits of the assessment. And then on the 20th, there was a Local Assessment Review Board where we had approximately 40 assessments to review. Did the groundbreaking ceremonies for the Dinosaur Museum on the 21st, and also worked the barbecue crew for the Rotary Club of Grand Prairie out at the Pards Fun Ride on Saturday. And normally I wouldn't mention something like that, but I thought that maybe tonight it was appropriate. It's just yet another example of what Rotary can be involved in, and they do various barbecues for a number of organizations throughout the city, whether it's Lobster Fest, Pards, all kinds of events. So hats off to all of the Rotarians in the city. And then, of course, tonight, thanks once again to the Youth Council for a wonderful dinner tonight. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Munro. Councillor Crokin.
Thanks, Mayor Given. On the 11th, I attended the POE meeting, Pursuit of Excellence. On the 12th, Municipal Government Day was a good time had by all. I happened to view myself on YouTube with Robert Carroll, interviewing him on what he was cooking there, and it turned out to be hot dogs. On Saturday the 15th, I attended and participated in the Relay for Life. Over $400,000 was raised. Good job to all the volunteers and the Cancer Association. On Monday the 17th, I attended a memorial in Teepee Creek for a great horseman, Delbert Rycroft. On Wednesday the 19th, I also attended Camp Little Buffalo, the fundraiser at Blackman's, and a very good job to Inspector Ray Noble, officer in charge, and his RCMP helpers. Great burgers, and thanks Jerry Blackman. Those burgers, and when you were just talking about the lineup, it was past the lighting store there. People were coming along and they were just donating money because they couldn't wait that long, because it was well attended. On the Thursday the 20th, I attended the Canadian Tire Classic Golf Tournament. Great time and great first day of summer. On the 21st, I also attended the Aboriginal Day Declaration barbecue at the Royal Bank. Thanks again to Jeff and all his cookers there, as long as our interest rates don't go up. Later at 12:30, I attended the luncheon and groundbreaking at the Philip J. Curry Dino Museum site at Wembley. That was really nice to see all the givers and participants. Then at 2 o'clock, I rushed back into town to open tenders. Then I ran over to the Elders Caring Shelter for my feed of bannock and traditional food there, and thanks again, Angie, for filling me up and sending me some home with me. And then today, the 24th, attended a Century, the Center 2000 management meeting. Thanks for chairing that, Dan. And then the dinner tonight was excellent. Our youth council next door put on a great spread for us, and good time for chatting and finding out what they were really up to. I have some roses to hand out to our city crews. Robert Carroll and the crews have really been ratcheting up the city potholes, filling them, not getting more, but filling them. At 6:30 in the morning on Sunday, when I was going for coffee before church, they were out filling potholes, and I really congratulate them. They're working hard on it, and I got some raspberries, and not very nice raspberries, to the Department of Highways. Like on 116th Street, I've been hitting some holes there, and other locations on Highway 43 that sometimes the city gets blamed a little bit for them, but it is not. It's Ledcor or whoever is doing their pothole fixing. So that's everything. Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks very much, Councillor Croghan. I believe we started with Councillor Rice. That means it's my turn. On June 12th, I also attended Municipal Government Day. On June 13th, I attended at the Celebration of Life for Catherine Fleming. She was someone who many of us would have worked with in her role at Centrepoint Facilitation, a good community member and somebody who will be sorely missed. On the 14th, I was in Canmore at the AUMA Mayor's Caucuses. I'm very sorry to hear about the state of Canmore today, and especially their facility, because I remember the introduction from the mayor welcoming us all there, was encouraging us to go and see their new facility. They're very, very proud of it, and so I think it's fair to say that communities all across southern Alberta are facing similar situations, and we're obviously stand by them and look forward to helping however we can. On the 17th, I was in Edmonton for an alert board of directors meeting, Alberta Law Enforcement Response Teams. And on the 18th, I was back in Grand Prairie for a morning meeting discussing the future of postal service in Canada. Canada Post is doing community consultations, which anyone can join in online by going to Canada Post's website. Also on the 18th, I was here at City Hall and recorded a video just speaking about the importance of the resource economy to Western communities. This is in support of some of the discussions about market access and other things that are happening, but there's a new group that's forming to speak about how the resource economies support families and support communities, and the taxes that they generate go into public services. So I was happy to speak about that because it's obviously an important thing for the community of Grand Prairie. On the 19th, we had a meeting of the steering committee for the Sport Council. I'd like to remind all council members and anybody else in the community that's interested that this Wednesday at 7 p.m. at the Pomeroy Hotel, the old GPN, for those that like to think of it that way, the Sport Council will be having its founding meeting. The council will elect its board of directors. It's a charter board of directors there, so if anybody's interested in sitting, you would need to be there that evening. The intent of the Sport Council is to bring together sport organizations and people interested in sport to provide a common voice for sport in the Grand Prairie region, and we're excited to see this as an outcome, as I mentioned earlier in tonight's meeting, of the sport tourism strategy that Council passed some time ago. On the 20th, I was at the Canadian Tire Chamber of Commerce Golf Tournament, and it was a pleasure to be there. On the 21st, I was also at the unveiling of the CN Arbor Day Grove of Trees. Thanks very much to the support of CN and their Eco Connections program that provided about $17,000 of grants towards that, as well as Tree Canada and all the other groups that were supporting us in that effort. Later on the 21st, I was also out in Wembley for the sod turning of the Philip J. Currie Dinosaur Museum. And then on the evening of the 22nd, of course, was the Dinosaur Ball. I just wanted to recognize the Pomeroy group who stepped up with a donation of $250,000 towards the playground at the Dinosaur Museum, and great to see their participation, along with all the other groups that have been recognized recently as coming on board to support that facility. On Sunday morning, the 23rd, I was at the Army, Navy, Air Force Veterans Club, Macklin Field area, to help kick off the Faith in Action Day, which was a partnership between the West Point and North Country Community Churches. They assembled in the Hillside neighborhood to have a day where volunteers from each of these two church communities came together to help one of our neighborhoods. They went through the Hillside area and they had a fleet of lawnmowers and garbage pickers, and they were just ready to go. And so it was fantastic to see these people from various areas of the city coming together to help out their neighbors and community residents in one area of the city, and certainly thank them for that and congratulate them for that. Later that day, I was at Muskogee Park, as Councillor Radburn mentioned, for the National Aboriginal Day celebrations and the signing of the partnership framework between the City of Grand Prairie and the Japakos organization. Japakos is the Grand Prairie Circle of Aboriginal Services, and it's an umbrella organization that represents 32 Aboriginal-focused organizations that operate in the Grand Prairie region and in the City of Grand Prairie. This framework is the first time that the city has ever had a formalized consultative relationship with an umbrella organization like this, and so it really was a historic moment, and I can let council know that there was a lot of accolades for our council for being progressive and for our administration working so hard to get this agreement signed, and there were a lot of people who had a lot of pride that happened here in Grand Prairie. And so well done council and well done administration. And then finally, as was mentioned earlier, we had the opportunity to meet with youth council earlier today, and certainly appreciate the work that those youth are doing in our community. And with that, I believe our meeting is adjourned. Thank you.